Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap. I'm going to go fast so I can be back at my desk at 4:25 for Apple. That happens at 4:30. Bottom line is yesterday you had a down day. It intensified into the close with oil. And then today, boom, no downside follow through. Oil stabilized. Iraqi minister said something about being flexible, and basically buyers came in, we opened up, and then you had about 15 minutes to switch gears to look to be long versus just short in the brain because of yesterday's action. And it wasn't easy because you also had high beta tech that was weak most of the morning, while the S&P grinded higher with the strength in the banks for the first day and some oil names. So let's just get right into the charts. You look here, here is this wedge. I basically put this on Twitter showing how cute it is that we're getting into this really tight wedge right in front of Apple earnings and right in front of the Fed. So at least it's tight. I don't know which way we're going to open up, but hopefully there's a chance that it could trade through this spot intraday, and that can give you a nice meaty long above 1906. And then it seems as if that's the case with a close above there, you could see 1940. If all of a sudden we started trading below this inside range of 1875-ish, you could cheat that way. So here's your pivot low on the bottom. Here's resistance above. And this is your inside wedge. Basically what a wedge is, it's a pattern of indecision after a big move. Here is your big move from top to bottom. Here's your wedge. Either we're going to break above and retrace higher and test some of the broken levels, or continue to the downside. If you look at the spiders, also real quickly, very, very tight. We talked about what could be here. If you want to go on Twitter also, I put the hourly wedge here. Okay, and at least it's tight where you have points of reference. I don't know if it's going to push through and hold above tomorrow and then give you, again, a rally to here, or maybe even, higher to where we broke down from at some point, or do we all of a sudden push through, do a topping tail failure, and then continue the downside? So there's a lot to look at. We'll see what's happened. But ultimately, in the first 5 minutes or the first 15 minutes, you had to switch some gears, which is what I did. Right in here was your spot. You gapped up, little resistance, came back in, held here, and this was your spot, to see that the gap held. Okay, maybe you bought a little bit right here. You added when it, took out the morning range, had a quick move, held higher, and then gave you one more move into lunchtime before, setting up all day long, going sideways with not much going on until the last few minutes of the day. Okay, and that came a little bit off that. So not the easiest afternoon. It almost looked like a head and shoulders top pattern too, where you break this and then all of a sudden you could have been looking at 188.50. So not the easiest move. The first part of the day was a little bit more, you could see it. So you have the same kind of pattern in a lot of these, in a lot of these sectors. A lot of them have lower pivots, and the question is, will they break to the upside? You could draw your line here with the Russell also. Nice little wedge formation, can it retrace here? So the question again is, after big moves down with a tight pattern, a pattern of indecision, does you get continuation to the downside, or do you try and break to the upside and retrace a little bit? Okay, so a lot of them look the same. IBBs, whatever, that was weaker. Something happened at the Democrat debates, whatever. I didn't even see it, and I got stopped out. But still, this is looking a lot weaker. Last time you had your sell signals, this ascending channel to the downside. You had it here also, and at this point, the jury's out. The XLF gave you a trade today. If you're on the VTF, I know it's been battered and bruised, but a trade's a trade. And if you look here, if you got out of the banks when this was broken right there with all the moving averages, maybe you tried a little bit today. It's still below the 8-day. But, if the banks want to rally a little bit, maybe they could see a spot. But again, just like everything else, a lower pivot. For today, I got in pretty well, and I think guys on the virtual trading floor saw it, and they got some JP Morgan, and I'm still long a little bit. When could you have got it? Here was your first gap up, okay? Went sideways, consolidated. A lot of us bought versus this low, while the futures came in and held higher, and then you could have added right here. And that was your gap up, hold higher, don't fill the gap, continuation. Then you had a move, came back and went to the highs, and then closed, middle ground. So that was your entry there for JP Morgan. Or actually that's the XLF. I'm sorry. Let's do the JP Morgan because that's, I'm sure it's very similar. JP Morgan here is your inside flag right there. Here is your tier 1. There's your tier 2. as it broke above the morning range, and then you could have picked and chosen a spot to sell. I'm still in it. It's the first time I've been in a bank for a while. I don't think it's going to be huge, but I think it's somewhat safe. Famous last words for a trade. And then in the beginning of the day, I know I was short Netflix early on. I didn't stay with it long enough. Some guys made money, but we did make some money shorting Facebook. When you looked at Netflix getting crushed, I thought maybe Facebook would come down, Apple's weaker, and it gave you a few hour trade, but now it's kind of back in line. Netflix still having trouble since earnings. Let's just go to the daily chart here because I want to fly through some of this stuff before Apple. It's struggling to hold the 200-day, see what's next, lots of overhead resistance. It failed on earnings, so a little bit more negative than positive. Tesla also, there was word of some kind of fire. It too, hanging on to lower support here by a thread. The question is, does it break it and really get hit, and maybe it needs earnings? But here's this lower support, and below every moving average, still broken. And then Google kind of held in there, still considered best in breed. Let's just get right to it. Move it over. Kind of hanging in there. Sorry, I gotta get going here. Let's see. This is your Google. Holding higher. Here was your red dog reversal down here. Here's holding higher. And now let's figure out if it could hang in there. And then let's just get onto Apple real quickly if you're watching it, because I'm sure you want to see what's the story here. They're implying a $6 move. So a $6 move, I think it closed somewhere close to just say 100. So that's kind of cute because a $6 move to the upside would get you right into resistance around this 105. Okay, or 106-ish, 105, 106-ish. They're looking for 75 million units, which I think if you see anything close to 75-ish, it'll probably cause some kind of rally. There's some whispers that it's going to be 72 or below, and if you hear something below 70, I think the stock's going to get hit really hard. But 75 and above, you probably get some kind of oversold bounce considering the sentiment's so bad. If you hear like 77, 78, I think that you'll see 105 in a New York minute. I don't think you see 80, whatsoever, but that would maybe even take it up to, if you go on the chart, even a little bit higher. Again, these are the levels just to write down. You have 105-ish, and then you have, this 109-ish, and then again, if you hear below 70, you have this like 96-ish, and then you have the low here around 92-ish. So, resistance 1, resistance 2, support 1, support 2, and listen up. So with all that said, I want to get back to my desk so I could trade it. I didn't have a position going into it. Yesterday, definitely shook the tree a little bit, got some people caught short overnight, as well as maybe stopped out of some longs because they thought it would hold in better. Today, you had a gap and go real quickly, not much in the afternoon. You have a tight wedge formation in so many different sectors, and we'll see how it resolves tomorrow. Let's hope that the market gives us a chance, to either go with it if it resolves to the upside, or even go with it if it resolves to the downside. But either which way, we'll be here and we'll try and navigate. And I hope you had a good day today, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good night.